have my dear friend Tazz, and I must say she's my go-to person when it comes down to healthy nutritional advice. For many years I was watching her and I was always curious about what her opinion is, and at some point I ended up recognizing that she is the number one, literally the number one all-in-one health nutritional center. So yeah, I mean that's what it is. And I mean I see a lot of people giving veterinarian advice, and then I see other people who give nutritional advice, and you go to the pet stores and you get all this information about nutrition and you should buy this bug, but down at the bottom line, everybody does it for money. You cared about the pets. One thing that we have in common, or many things we have in common basically, is that we're focusing on educating pet owners into healthy living with their pets.
Yeah.
And I think that was really stand out, even if you read through your blog post and your posts and your website, it's very clear you know what you're talking about. So how did you end up doing this?
I ended up doing this. Well, I'm type 1 diabetic. I was diagnosed at age 6. So for me, food is either going to make me or break me. And that's the case for all of us. There's a book by, I think it's Henry Paternick, called Healthy Pets with Nature's Miracles, or Healthy Pets with Nature's Miracles. Yeah. So, and in the book, he says 90% of disease is caused by the foods we feed our animals.
90%.
90% of disease. So, yeah, that I think is relevant to us as well. And of course, it started with me and being diagnosed with type 1 diabetes as a child, and growing up, there was this anxiety about consuming sugars and consuming processed foods. So I grew up in a Mediterranean household, so the foods were always fresh.
Tell me about that.
So, and unfortunately, as time evolved and my family and my mom became busy, the fresh food became processed, and that certainly affected my blood glucose levels. So as I grew up and became an adult human, I had to take the reins and figure out what worked and what didn't. And fresh was the only thing that didn't affect me adversely when it came to my insulin levels and sugar and my blood sugars. So I apply the same concept to my love of animals, to what I want to give to my animals. And it's very simple. Species appropriate nutrition will help our animals thrive, and processed inappropriate nutrition will help them get through the next day, essentially surviving. So it all started with being diagnosed as type 1 and going through life and learning that food can make or break us in every aspect.
Well, it seems that going through the process of daily survival through healthy nutrition is kind of what makes you a specialist, like surviving every day through healthy nutrition. And I think even if we look down to our animals, they're going through the same process. The thing is, they don't have their own choices. And I'm really happy to have you here today, because I feel as a certified nutritionist that you are, and coming from that personal knowledge, how to eat healthy and what to look for, I think I cannot wish better right now. So I asked my dear followers on Facebook and some other websites that I work with, and they give me a huge list of things they want to know. But I want to keep it very simple today, because some bird told me that you're doing something very interesting in the very near future. Actually, you started working on that already, which is a movie. I
Right.
said it.
Would elaborate. So, if your viewers have not watched Pet Food by Cole Harrington, I definitely urge you to watch it. It's about the pet food industry and what species appropriate nutrition really is about. And some of the people that were interviewed in that movie were Dr. Barbara Royal, Dr. Karen Becker, who is incredibly outspoken, holistic vet. I mean, she's an all-around person. Just some incredible people. FDA, heads of FDA. These people were all interviewed, and Cole put all the data together and presented information about what proper nutrition is, what species appropriate nutrition is. So what I am grateful to be working on with him and helping him with now is Pet Food 2, which is the next, making the right choices. As pet owners or pet parents, whatever we want to call ourselves, we have to provide our animals with their food, and we have to make all the choices. So we're inundated with all this data from manufacturers, and the data is pretty packaging, promises of quality, promises of wellness with simplicity. And that always, it's not always simple to get whole food nutrition out of a bag of highly heat processed food. So, I sit back and I look at what the claims are, and this is what Cole and I talk about all the time. All the claims made by these manufacturers, how do you decipher what's real and what's not? So in the next movie, he interviews multiple brands, multiple companies about how they source their ingredients, how they choose to manufacture their products. Are they really are they really sourcing products that are sustainable and that are of quality for our animals? Not only our domesticated animals, but the animals we use to feed ourselves and our pets. So it's going to be a pretty interesting movie. I think it's going to help the pet consumer figure out how to choose quality
Pet food. And I was like, yeah, that's kind of like a movie that will talk about blah, blah, blah. I'm telling you, I had tears in my eyes because it said exactly what I'm thinking. It said exactly what I'm worrying every day when I'm going to clients and work with them on behavior issues. And the first thing I ask the question is, what do you feed? And the first answer I get is, oh, I feed high quality dog food. And then I see the back and I was like, oh my God, like your dog is full of allergies. He's itching, he has ear infections, his skin looks bad, his coat is a mess, his anxiety is up to 120. Well, how about we start with nutrition first? How about we get your dog healthy first? Because once we have that eliminated, then only thing is left is a little bit of a behavior problem.
Yep.
And I'm coming from industrial automation. My job is, or was for many years, almost 20 years, to use these packages to get that food in there, put it in a pallet, and bring it out in the market. So my job was to make those manufacturers happy and get that crap in that bag. Not only in dog food, also in human grade food,
right,
and medications, and any materials you can imagine, everything that goes somewhere from one place to the other and has to go into something. I was in charge to put it in there. And I had a good name down in the market. I was very involved with automation in Greece, mainly in Greece. And the one reason why I left the industry, because it sucks. I mean, bakeries, sweets, chocolates, meat produce, whatever you can say about it, I worked on these projects in one way or the other. And so when I came here to US and saw how many people struggling with their dog food, and especially in the East Coast where the cheapest car is more than I earn in a year, and I see how many people buy these cheap dog food bags and their dog's stressed about it, and I was like, why is this happening?
Well, I have to tell you, here, the the fact that you just said cheap dog food, put aside cheap. Even look at expensive dog food. You know, like, yeah, I'm going to name some brands. I hope you don't mind. You know,
go ahead. We're open here.
Blue Buffalo is not cheap, right? But what's Schmoosh Buffalo? Blue Buffalo is not a cheap product.
No, it's
right?
not.
No, it's not. And there's lots of brands that are very expensive. And it's not that what's in the bag is of high quality. It's that they have given the consumer this perception of health and wellness, so they add the price tag along with it. Just because it's expensive, it doesn't mean it's good. If something is expensive, it should be non-GMO. It should be in the most natural form, raw, which is what I prefer. Not everyone can feed raw, okay? But there are other options. Minimally heat processed. So, you know, there are options, but if it's highly heat processed and in a bag or in a can, I can't really connect high value to that.
I understand where the problem lies from an industry perspective. Seeing it as a technician, I have a product, I need to get it from one place to the other, I need to sell it, it needs to stay in the shelf for many years, maybe months at least, and then that needs to be fresh. What is fresh cost to an animal if it stays in the shelf for 6 months in a bag that's not sealed, a bag that you can squeeze it and the air goes out, you can squeeze it apart, the air goes in, it's basically open, and then I have to open up, taking a bowl, throw it in a dog bowl, and have my dog to eat every day the same food for his rest of his lifetime, because I just like that convenience bag. I just open it up, go to the same shelf like next to my drugstore, grab the bag, put it in the shelf, and be done with it.
I don't want to demonize any type of food. I don't want to demonize kibble. I don't want to demonize canned, because there are price points that people can meet, and there are some people with inabilities or disabilities, or they just can't do. I mean, a lot of people don't even cook for themselves, or don't even take care of themselves well enough when it comes to nutrition. That are they going to do the same thing with our pets? So, you know, at least understand who's making that food. Understand, you know, what the ingredients are, and add some whole foods. Go buy some meat at Costco. Cook it very gently so it's rare, you know, just gently sear it and blend that in with your pet's food, or give one meal the cooked food, or even the fresh food that is the whole food, meats, vegetables, fruits. Yes, our animals can have meats, vegetables, fruits. Cats shouldn't, but you know, and I'm not talking about whole prey models or anything like that. I'm just talking about overall, you know, I'm looking at the whole picture. So, yeah, I think pushing people into one direction is not the best path to go, because we're going to alienate people. It's not fair.
I agree.
It's not fair. There are brands I can't stand. You know, I'm not a fan of anything made by Diamond. I'm not a fan of the Blue Buffaloes. I'm not a fan of these companies, because they preach wellness and they give crap. So those are the companies I stay away from. And there are some decent companies out there that are doing a well enough job, and their products are mid-range price, where you can give your animals a processed food that is decent, and you can add to that your own whole foods. Make an effort. When you go to the supermarket, buy some cruciferous vegetables, buy some zucchini, buy some butternut squash. Just don't microwave it. You know, puree it with some warm water in a blender and mix it with some meat and use that as a side. It's not, you know, and then people worry if the animal's going to get a balanced diet. Do you think that bag of kibble is a balanced diet? No, they're going to get more balanced when you're adding some whole food nutrition to their plate. So, and again, right now we're only talking about dogs. With cats, please add some raw meat to their diet, some raw chicken hearts, some raw beef hearts.
Well, here comes my next question. We come from a perspective that dogs are carnivores, or wait a minute, they are omnivores. Or what exactly are they?
I have no clue anymore. I've lost track. I keep reading stuff and I'm confused. And I don't even know what I was even taught.
I did research, and it's very clear. There was a research back in the early 60s or 50s with 400 cats, literally 400 cats, were lived for 10 years, I think, and they did all the exams, and basically were very clear that cats live and thrive, not survive, thrive on raw food.
Yeah, cats are obligate carnivores. You're not going to change that.
Exactly. Now,
they need muscle meat to survive.
Survive. But how do we get the dogs to thrive if my budget is limited? So, for example, I have raw diet, which would be the best, and then I have the kibble, which is not the best. Is there something in between that me, as, let's say, I have no clue about anything, I just forget everything I know, where can I reach out for the best buy? What should my dog food have in it, or what not?
Okay. I would like the first 3 to 5 ingredients to be meat if you're going to use kibble. You should use a brand that is not owned by a major corporation like General Mills or Nestle or Mars. Stay away.
Mars.
Smaller companies. Stick with the smaller companies so they have more integrity in the choices they make for their raw materials. There's brands like, and if price point is a huge factor, there are brands that are not heavy price point, but you have to be careful that they're not using pea protein, garbanzo beans as a form of upping their protein content. That's why meat needs to be the first few ingredients, because a lot of companies now are using a lot of legumes to up their protein content, with the ingredient splitting. So, that's not a good thing either. So if you're seeing that the first 2 ingredients are meats and then you go into legumes, if you can cut that back by 50% and add some of your own meats to the diet, you're in a good place, and you will still save money, and your animal's going to get better nutrition out of it, right? So the smaller brands that are not made, purchased, that are not owned by major food-based cereal companies or candy companies, right? And add your own meats and add some fruits, add oils. Good oils are really important. You have anchovy oil, you can do salmon oil, you can use whole sardines. There's also now, and if you can invest a little bit of money, there's a great company called Answers. They have a raw goat's milk.
I heard about that.
Complete, and it's raw and fermented. So when it is defrosted, there's no bacteria developing in the defrosting process, and it's great in the refrigerator for 14 days. It's a complete diet. You can fast your animal on it. I fasted my dog on it for 35 days when he was having joint problems. So, there's a lot of things you can do, and it's a small investment. It's not an expensive product. So that goat's milk is a perfect add-on. They also have a fermented fish stock that is fabulous for irritable bowel and for omega-3s. So those are things that you can add on, and you're still not spending a lot of money, and you're adding whole food nutrition to your pet's diet that we can do about 40% processed and do the other 60% that you're buying at your supermarket or quality pet store with these, with these milks and these broths. And, the goat's milk, it's raw. So, when people say my animals, but dogs are lactose intolerant or cats are lactose intolerant. So it's understanding that it's raw. So raw milk has lactase, which breaks down the lactose. So we have nothing to worry about. It's not pasteurized. So that's, when people say that, I'm like, okay, you're going to be fine. Your dog's going to be fine.
It's the misconception that people have about things, because we're basically brainwashed every day through advertising and nice looking food bags with flavors and dinner and meat nuggets and formulated dog food with basically just 25% meat, or when it says like with meat, which is like down to 3%, or maybe not just flavor about it, which is just only maybe 0% of this dog food having meat content in it. So now people, I understand when people reach out and says, you know what, I'm gonna make my dog or my cat chicken and rice.
Let's get rid of the rice.
Oh, right, okay. Now just chicken and wait. I cannot just feed my dog chicken or my cat, or do I?
Well, you can give your dog or cat, if you don't cook it, give them everything with the bone, give the gizzards, give the organs. Nothing's wrong with that. Yes.
But I was told that a dog who eats a chicken is a dead dog because you're going to die of the bones.
Raw bones? No, they won't shatter. That raw bone is going to provide them with the calcium and minerals they need.
Thank you for mentioning it, because I think I'm the only one who's talking about it.
You're not. It's all over. People just don't listen. People just want to believe the same thing. You know, it becomes a habit to believe what they've heard over and over again. So for us, if we repeat this over and over again, maybe it'll catch on. They'll be like, okay, wait a second. I can give them that raw chicken wing for my dog to chew on. And, you know, that'll be one meal. And then the next meal, yeah, okay, I can give them the kibble because that's all I can afford. Or that's what's convenient.
Mm.
But, you know, just, it's okay. Yes, you can give them the raw bone. Please definitely watch over your animals. Don't just walk away. Okay?
Exactly.
Because
so can
I don't want to have a lawsuit over me either.
Right. So always is a common sense, a very important piece. So how does it look like? Can I have my animal or my pet having different menus, making like one day fish, and then I will have fish and duck necks and little chicken hearts, and then maybe I put some yogurt in it, maybe some kefir from probiotics, or I open up meat bag with ready meal patties and maybe add some vegetables to it because I had leftovers from last dinner, maybe something from my pizza place, whatever, and just mix it in. Will happen something to my animal?
No, I think that would be the best thing you can do instead of opening up a bag of kibble.
I think I can handle that. Now, my next question, what is the difference between, because everybody's referring to healthy nutrition dog food certified by the AFCO. What does have this, what's the meaning of that?
There's so little regulation in the world of pet food. AFCO has standards, and they have a list of ingredients that are acceptable to be on that pet food label and in that pet food package. Some of the ingredients are hellacious. Some of the ingredients I can't believe they don't accept, like spirulina, you know, which is a huge source of B complex.
I take it.
Right. So, you know, it's, and AFCO updates the book annually. So AFCO is something being approved AFCO standards doesn't necessarily mean the product is a quality product. You know, Kibbles and Bits, Gravy Train, Avengers, those were all AFCO approved foods, right? They met AFCO standards. They weren't AFCO approved. They met AFCO standards. So, you know, and you see what we have in those foods. It's high wheat gluten in the Gravy Train. There's no meat content, less than 1%. It's all made from wheat gluten. Animals can't break down wheat gluten. So what are we really talking about here?
Well, we need to understand what AFCO is at that point. AFCO is basically a club of all these food manufacturers / mass production, meat production, food production companies who sit together on a table and says, hey guys, how do we get rid of our garbage? Point number one. And then we have the other side with the garbage disposal system. We call them rendering factories. It says, hey guys, you know what? I need to get rid of my garbage because you know how many millions of animals I get every day from the roadkills, from the shelters, from the manufacturers. Do you want me to dump them at sea, or do you want me to burn them? Like, they need to go somewhere. And so all these people come together in one round table and says, hey guys, you know what?
Well, a lot of human waste is also used in the quality pet food sector as well. So human food waste is also used.
Ew.
Yeah, human food waste, or excess human food products, the leftover human food products in the processing is used in the raw food. A lot of raw food companies use it. They use the vegetables, old vegetables. So those are all used. And, where do we put all these raw materials? Where do we put it? Do we just discard it? So our animals are eating it. Okay? It's how it's processed that is a factor here. I mean, the kibble companies burn it to death and then spray it with palatants and nutrients. The can companies, cook it at high temperatures and mush it up and slip it in a can and seal it, and it's good for 8 years. So, and it's not all cans, it's not all kibble. I'm just generalizing on the low end side. But even on the high end, they use the human food waste to blend into our pet foods, especially on the vegetables and fruits and the oils, all the oils that are being used in the animal food products, in the palatants. That all comes from the human waste side, human food waste side.
So if I have an animal who is allergic to, let's say, chicken, and I'm going to the vet and he prescribes me a food, and then that food has a certain description. It's a prescription food, which I don't understand, because I don't think FDA has an approval of prescription dog food. But anyway, and now from the other side, I turn the bag around and I say, ingredients, chicken fat, but my dog is allergic to chicken.
But it's hydrolyzed. It's hydrolyzed chicken protein. They use hydrolyzed chicken livers. They can use chicken in a food that, and a dog that is allergic to poultry, but it's a hydrolyzed protein. They break it down to a point that the dog's body doesn't recognize that protein anymore. So it gets, I hate saying it like this, but it gets something out of it. It gets calories.
Correct.
So
correct.
They use those calories for energy, right? It's not a nutrient-rich food, right? It's used as a short-term fix to help resolve whatever the issue is. It should only be used as a short-term fix.
Exactly, a short-term quick fix.
Right, to help just clear up whatever that response was the animal was having at that point, and then you introduce a whole food diet that, I mean, it could have been the dog food chicken that the animal was allergic to begin with. If you get a high quality chicken product that you give them raw or gently cooked, they may not react to it. It could just be the way the food was processed, the palatants added, and everything else that was layered on to create this processed food. So it doesn't necessarily mean the animal has a specific protein allergy.
Exactly.
I think that's being used way too much by our doctors. These allergies are being used. If we take away all the severe processing and we add some whole nutrition to our animals' diets, I think we're going to see a lot of the issues go away. And again, utilizing goat's milk and fish stock, specifically the answers, because it's fermented and it's raw, the goat's milk, and absolutely and highly non-allergenic. So I think that's a really huge part of whole food nutrition, helping an animal get over the hump of the skin irritation and the difficulty they have with all that inflammation.
Well, I have seen clients who get allergic to their dog's dog food when the dogs get in contact with them. It spreads all over the place.
Yeah.
It doesn't contain only in the dog food bag, or it doesn't stay only with the dog. Now, one other thing that I see is people are convinced by looking at the bag. It's like, oh my God, that's a yummy salmon, like food grade salmon. on dog food. Well, okay, whatever. So they open that bag, and when you question them, like, do you know what in that bag is? It says, yeah, there's fish and all this stuff. Like, what stuff is in it? So my question here is, because you as a certified nutritionist and I'm just a holistic dog trainer, but I use nutrition as my base to start with. But I'm not a nutritionist. I need a specialist who can help me when the person gets out of the vet with a problem. And the vet is not a nutritionist, because if you go, and I talk with several veterinarians, and they're telling me, how their nutritional education is, which is ridiculous. For example, if your dog has liver problems, you take product A. If your dog has kidney issues, you take product B. That's nutritional education a veterinarian has on his way out to help animals survive. What can I do as an end user?
Again, I mean, that works for your dog, and it may not work for somebody else's dog. So every animal is an individual, and we have to look at them as individuals. So that's the first thing, and our vets need to recognize that as well. So this specific diet for urinary health or skin issues doesn't work for every animal with a urinary problem or a skin problem. It could stem from somewhere else. So I think our vets just get the raw end of the deal here, and they're I think they're being shot down a lot. They go to school and study medicine, and nutrition unfortunately was not always involved with medicine. They're studying disease and how to help stop that disease from destroying a person or animal's life by using pharmaceutical drugs, exercise, quality food, but the food is not always a factor. And food is our fuel, and it's our animals' fuel. So we have to step back and take it in our own hands. We see them for 15 minutes, and then everything else is in our hands. We need to be responsible. You can't point the finger at the veterinarian. They're doing what they know. They're diagnosing. They're running the test. They're diagnosing the disease. They're telling you what's happening. And if you're choosing to feed foods that cause an inflammatory response in the gut, remember, 70 to 80% of our health starts in the gut, right? So if that much of our health is happening in our digestive system, then the choices we make with the foods we put in our system is going to affect everything else. Right?
It's a complete whole system.
Yeah, it's a whole system. It's going to affect everything. If you have inflammation in the gut, it's going to show on your skin first, then your joints, then it's going to affect your nail beds. So, and your animals, it's going to affect behavior, sleep patterns, dry eyes. There's so many factors. Allergic reactions, when there's inflammation, you're not going to be able to breathe as well. There's more mucus. So there's a lot happening. So, we can't blame our vets. We need to blame ourselves. Seriously, as people who have free will, and we have so much information available to us, yes, it's confusing to decipher between marketing and what's reality. We have to start with unprocessed, minimally processed, activity, rest, right? And fun and joy and pleasure. All those things need to be combined for good health. And then our doctors can diagnose ailments that we can work with instead of battle. We can't keep putting Band-Aids on diseases. We have to pull it away and allow it to heal by giving it fresh air, clean environment, clean it. So there's a lot of things involved here. And I think our doctors, just by seeing our vets for 15 minutes or for 30 minutes, we expect them to give us, to prescribe a drug and create a miracle. And for us to keep going back to doing what we were doing. It doesn't work that way. We need to be responsible. And that's why I love Pet Food and what Cole created. It's, saying, hey, pet owners, you're responsible for what you're putting in your pet's body and what happens to them. Their lifespans are shortened because of the choices you make. And yet your animals at age 6, never been to the vet, they're doing well. I'm sure they're not getting overly vaccinated either, right? I'm sure they have a quality of life, that they're intellectually stimulated, that they're happy, they get enough rest. So all those things, just like us, matter to them. So if you're not doing it for yourself, I don't know if you can do it for your pet. So we got to take a step back and come down to earth a little and face reality.
I like that. I like the way you make healthy feeding actually easy and possible. It sounds easy and possible because I think it is. Because we have access to all these foods. Some people cannot afford high quality brands, but they can afford whatever brand they can. But they have still the options, as you explained very well, to add some healthy ingredients and keep the raw part in it. So yes, my dog will survive, but I can add something for my dog or for animal to thrive, which is what we're doing. Now, you're having also services to help people and help pet owners get their animals to the next level. Now, how can they reach you?
Through my website, petropolist.com, petropolist.com. I do one-on-one nutrition consulting, where we look at your pet's whole diet and lifestyle and what you can and can't do, and we put an individualized plan together for your pet.
What information do you need from me? If I have a pet and I just came out from the vet and my vet tells me that my dog has, his back system is totally damaged and, he has arthritis and all this stuff. What do you need me to give to you so you can make that assessment?
So there's a health document you have to fill out. It asks about your pet's activities, age, weight, activity levels, and your ability to get the dog out or get the cat out, and how much you play with them. Emotional joy and happiness, all those things are associated with overall well-being. What is the animal eating? Their feeding cycle? Are they being free-fed? Tell me about their treats. And then if they have the last series of test results from their vet, I need their vet's information in case I have questions. I'd like to be able to contact the veterinarians directly. Okay.
So you work with the veterinarians hand in hand.
If they're open to speaking with me, I am grateful. I would love to speak with them. Awesome. Yeah. So we review all that, and then we have a conversation, because after I read what they've written, I have to sit down and talk to them about what they are willing to do and what they're not willing to do. Because often what they put on paper, they forget a lot of things when I ask questions.
Yeah, right.
The animal prefers a very hot space. The animal's always cold and shivering. So we may want to add, we may want to stay away from cooling meats at that point. Or there's a lot of factors associated with it, I just worked with a woman whose cat just kept licking her belly over and over and over again and was going bald there, but only would lick her belly. And it would be right after she'd come out of the litter box, and she spent 30 to 40 minutes doing it, no hair there, and then was very clingy all the time. And we looked at the blood work and everything was normal. I talked to the vet, nothing was going on. I said, "Did you run a urinalysis?" And he said, "No." I said, "Would you mind running a urinalysis?" I asked her, I said, "Would you mind going?" Because the cat was young. So they ran a urinalysis, and the cat's urine pH was 8. And the vet didn't think there was anything wrong with that. And there was no crystals, nothing was happening. But we got that urine pH down to 6.5, which we did, using apple cider vinegar, diluted apple cider vinegar, and we also added some very easy. They can get Cranimals or RX cranberry, 250 milligrams of cranberry. That cat stopped licking 4 days later. And I had her get some pH strips. She had a very difficult time with the urine pH, but by the 4th day, she got the morning pH, and it was normal. And she's going to follow up with the vet again. The cat stopped being clingy. The cat stopped licking once the urine pH was normal. I mean, day 4, the cat stopped licking. So we're going on 3 weeks now. The cat hasn't licked her belly once. The hair is growing back in. She's not agitated. She's not, all over the owner all the time. She's not playing again. She was irritated.
Right, poor cat. And you kind of just like that, reading the instructions, reading the information you get from the vet, getting a short questionnaire, you know exactly what's going on. I mean, that's what a professional does. Otherwise, you start guessing around.
Questionnaire didn't, exactly. I kept asking, when is she licking? That wasn't on the questionnaire. She's licking all her hair off was the answer. But when is she licking? When's the most time that she start? When does she? After she urinates.
And I would say maybe we should change the litter box, right? And you come in as like, that's not the problem. Yes, it comes because the same time it happens, but the reason why is the urinary tract problem, not the litter box, even if it's happening right after the litter box.
Yeah, because she was going into the litter box, I didn't think of the litter box first. I wanted to check the urine. I mean, you always want...
I will always check the
urinary first.
The medical stuff first. I agree with you. Now,
the cat was raw fed as well. The cat was raw fed, very well fed, no issues. Quality raw foods. So cat was doing well and young. The one thing that stuck out was,
interesting. I think there is a lot of intuition as well. Like, you go by the book is one thing, go by the textbook is another, but letting your intuition coming in as a healer, which I think you are, you can pick up on information like knowledge and says, wait a minute, it feels to me like that. And then you dig a little bit around and voila, you trust your guts because it's your healthy guts, right? Trust your guts, you get right to the point. So what kind of animals do you support? Like what kind of pets are you able to help?
Cats and dogs is what I work with.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, don't do any rabbits, don't do any birds, although I love them all. But unfortunately, I recommend raw rabbit for a lot of my clients, my cat clients. So I don't go there.
I really appreciate everything you said today. Very informative. I think, did we miss anything? I don't think we said everything, right? Yeah, to sum up, I really appreciate having you here today. One thing that I'm looking forward to learn more about your upcoming movie. And for some magic reason, the producer messaged me a couple of days ago, and I was like, are you the one who made that movie, Pet Food? And he's like, yeah. I'm like, yes. So I hope maybe I can get him on one of our next shows and kind of let him talk a little bit from his experience, because I think he came into that out of nowhere, right? How did he get into that?
How? It was his previous producer, his dog was sick, was having problems, and that's how it started, and they started looking into pet food. And 6 years later of doing all the research, I mean, he did a great deal of research, and every day, every piece of information in Pet Food 1 has been fact-checked. So there's no BS there, and the same thing is with Pet Food 2. Everything is going to be checked. Everything is checked. I mean, he is a man of integrity, and he's intelligent, and he doesn't give up when he believes in something.
This is the kind of people I like, and that's why I wanted you today on the show, because you're one of those people, you have something in your mind, you believe it's healthy, you go for it, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.